Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. Good evening. Um, how's everyone doing? How's your day going? How's your Monday? Oh, I think I should be just a little slower because of the heat. Hey, welcome, everyone. I'm going to give everyone a minute to get started, and then we're going to jump right in. How's everyone's Monday doing? I'm hoping people are active in the chat. Let me get my chat available so I can see people. Okay, great. I think, let's move this. Wonderful. I heard it's a great Monday. I feel the same way too. This Monday has been rather busy, but I'm grateful for it. I really am. I'm grateful for the busy, but because the busy is good. And so for those of you who, so I have AC, I have an AC upstairs, which powers like the second floor and my office is in the attic. And then I have an AC for downstairs, which like powers the first floor or when you walk in that floor. And my upstairs AC is out, but because my office is in the attic, my entire like internet is upstairs and the super connector, everything is upstairs. So like Wi-Fi downstairs isn't great. And I only learned that because my AC is now out and I had to work from downstairs. So I'm sitting in a very warm office right now. I'm sitting in a very warm office, but I'm committed to do this, and the AC should be getting fixed tomorrow. So, okay, I'm gonna get started to honor people's times. And today we're gonna be talking about it's Monday Momentum. Welcome everyone. I should be recording this. Let us hit record. Record to the cloud. Okay, perfect. I think we are recording. We are live. Welcome everyone to Monday Momentum. We're going to be talking about the daily habits that steal your best decision. And as I was creating this, I was laughing to myself because honestly, I've struggled with every single thing that I put down. And I suspect that maybe you guys are better than me. So maybe you won't have struggled with everything, but I've definitely struggled with everything that I wrote down. And what I want to let you know first and foremost is that like you're not making bad decisions because you lack intelligence. I think you're making bad decisions because your daily habits are robbing you before you ever sit down to choose like the decision or to make the decision. And I have slowly learned that the quality of your decision is only as good as the conditions that you make them in. So where are you? What are you doing? And most people, I think, are making some of their best decisions or the biggest decisions they have to make in like the worst possible conditions. And they wonder like, why do they keep ending up in the same place, right? And that's a struggle that I've struggled with. And so I want to paint a picture for you, right? Let's say you have this really big decision to make. Maybe it's an investment, or maybe you need to hire someone, or maybe you need to fire someone. Maybe you need to make a pivot in your business or in your life, right? Or maybe you need to have this massive conversation that is going to change the direction of like a relationship, right? You have all these decisions to make and you know what you need to do, right? Sometimes we are clear about the thing that we need to do somewhere in your gut, right? You know the decision you need to make, you know how you need to make it, you know when you need to make it, but instead of doing it, right, you do something else. You doom scroll for 20 or 30 minutes. You check your email for the fourth time or the fifth time, right? You go to the fridge and you grab some ice cream or you eat something that you're not even hungry. You reorganize your desk. I don't know. You tell yourself, I'll do it later when you can really think about it. That's what you tell yourself, but you make all these excuses and later never comes. Or it comes at like 10 p.m. when you're fried and then you say, I'll do it tomorrow, right? You make a reactive decision, you make a bad one, or you say, I'll just do it tomorrow, right? That's what you decide. And I will tell you that that is not a discipline problem. I think it's a habit problem. your kind of daily habits every day are eating the energy, they're eating clarity, they're eating the focus that like your best decisions require. And I think as you start thinking about maybe building or pivoting or growing, right? I think this it's very important how you make decisions. It's very important what takes most of your day, right? And so it's very important that like when you're making the right decisions, right, you're not doing it on autopilot, right? You don't even notice when you're making decisions. So I want to kind of get people conversing. If you're streaming online, maybe you can say it. But what's the first thing you do when you pick up your phone in the morning? I'm curious, like what are people doing? Like the first thing when you pick up your phone in the morning, right? What's one thing you do? Are you email? Are you the person that goes straight to your email? Are you the person that goes first straight to Instagram or Facebook? So social media, I'll put that as a whole thing. Do you read news? Like, so do you just like auto scroll on like all the news updates and what's going on in the world, in the country, in the state? Or are you the person who looks at all your texts and start responding to it? So I'd love to know if you could drop it in the chat, right? So Grace said, I go through calendar, tasks, and messages, and then my emails. And thank you for sharing that, right? And for me, it's like similar. I wake up, it's funny enough sometimes, right? And I've tried to do better about this. Like I try to put my phone on do not disturb, but sometimes when it's not right, it's a message that actually wakes me up and it's like, oh yeah, and then the day starts like that. Check text messages, check WhatsApp, then email. I get check Teams messages first thing in the morning. See, I want you to pick up, right? All of us who are answering these questions, right? It's someone else's agenda before you decided what your day is today, right? It's someone else's agenda. It's somebody texting you, it's somebody on Teams, it's somebody, checking your task, checking your calendar, right? It's all of those things. And before you decide what your day is going to be, right? Someone else is already dictating that. And I think I want to walk you through some of the habits that are robbing you, robbing us, right? And I want to walk through kind of the biggest ones. And I want, as I talk about it, right, I want you to be honest about the ones that are running your life right now. And if you're like super about it, or if you're great, like you can tell us, put in the chat, how you're doing or the things that you've done to help you, make better decisions by making better habits. But I think habit number one, which a lot of us kind of pointed out to, is like you start every day in someone else's inbox. So that's like email first thing in the morning. I think it's one of the most destructive habits that a leader can have, right? And I know that it feels so dramatic to say that. And yes, cue the drama, but think about what the email actually is, right? It's a list of truly other people's requests, their priorities, then their problems. And that's the first thing that you pick up. And the moment that you open it, right, your brain shifts from what matters to me today to like, what does everyone else need from me today, right? And that's how you go. So you go from offense to defense in seconds, right? So instead of you building the time for how you want to start your day, and a lot of people who start in the defense, they never ever get back to offense. So your whole day just feels like you're reacting, right? It's not because you planned it that way, but that's the habit that you chose to start your day when you became fully awake. So I think that's habit number one that I've seen a lot of people struggle is they go straight into someone else's inbox, right? They go straight to their email. Habit number two, you consume before you think. This is the one that I struggle with a little bit, and that's news, social media, podcasts. So immediately, right, I would say that other people's opinions are flooding your brain even before you have like one single thought, like a single original thought about you. Like you're looking at someone else's Instagram, someone else's highlight reel, you're looking at the news in some other place that's not yours. And this is what that does, right? It starts to fill your mind with noise, right? Even before you start the day, right? Before you've had the chance to hear kind of your own ideas, your own signal, your own thoughts, your own plans, right? You're processing everyone else's ideas, what they're doing with their life, where they are, right? You even like even their crises, right? It becomes yours, like their highlight reels, like I said. It's like, okay, their excitement, their joy, their down, all of that, right? Even before you have like even before you're able to make a clear-headed decision about your own life, which is the most important, you're already filled with other people's content. And again, it goes back to noise. You can't think clearly because of all the noise. And so that's something that like I've personally struggled with. And so that's something that I've seen a lot of people. It's like it's content, right? So you consume other people's content before you even think about yours. And then the third one that I've seen, kind of habit that people do, is they say yes, just say yes by default. Like the only answer is yes. So when somebody asks for your time, you just say yes, right? You give it. A meeting shows up in your calendar, right? The first thing you're like, oh yeah, I have to attend that. I have to go to that, right? An opportunity comes across your desk and you're like, we should consider that, right? And so every time the answer is always yes. And to some degree, sometimes you have to say yes. But I think sometimes we say yes and we consider it not because it aligns with our priorities, but I think it feels harder. No feels a lot harder to say than yes, right? And that's something that like a lot of us struggle with. I would say that every yes that you give to something that doesn't matter is a decision that you steal from something else that does, right? Something else that you're supposed to say yes to that thing. You don't get to say yes to that because you said yes to this thing that was not as important. And so that led to like the consequence of saying no to the other thing that really mattered. I think that's very important to like sit back and really think about that, because I would say that your calendar is a reflection of your priorities. Now, there are days in your calendar that it's going to be filled with meetings, right? Like today, I've been in meetings since 7 a.m. this morning, but my Mondays, my Mondays once a month really looks like that, right? And I've planned it to like pack that, but it doesn't always look like that, right? And I'm going to talk about dead space because I also think that's really important, right? But if you look at your calendar, minus my today, right? If you look at your calendar this week and it's full of like other things that other people put there, you're giving away like your decision making power without even realizing it. And so, yes, there are caveats and the exceptions where we have to have meetings, we have to have team meetings, all of those things, right? But I think that you should still pause before you say yes to every single decision. Habit number 4 is the last one, which is like you never stop, right? So you don't have white space, you don't have any margin, you have no time between meetings other than today. Like between all the tasks that you have to do, the calls, the obligations, right? Everything, right? There's no time where your brain can just breathe. I'm a fan of having like really truly white space in your schedule where you can sit and think, right? And think and create. And I'll give you a personal example of kind of an opportunity that I saw, but I was like, oh, I wish I had space today to think through it. And I think this is a really sneaky one because sometimes when our calendars are so filled, like it makes us feel productive, right? We're like, oh, I did this, right? And it really does feel like you're getting a lot done. But a brain, I've learned that a brain that doesn't have margins, you don't get to think strategically. I think you just kind of react, right? You go into survival mode and you're just trying, at some point, you're just trying to get through the next thing. You're like, okay, I need to get through this meeting. Yes, the meeting is good, but that's kind of how you start feeling, right? You're just like, okay, I need to answer the next question, or I just need to make it to the end of the day, right? That's kind of how you're thinking when you don't have any white space. And I think like when you are in survival mode, right? I really think that every decision you make is short term, right? You're you kind of just I would say you kind of just optimize yourself for like relief, right? Not growth. And I would say the best decisions require space. They just require a little bit of like white space, a little bit of like, where there are no margins and you can just think. Sometimes I think a lot of our decisions are rushed. So and I'll give you an example, right? I was at a conference this past weekend and it was such a fruitful conference. I got a lot out of it, right? And today I wanted to use some part of my day today to brainstorm how to include that in kind of like my plans moving forward, right? To be at spaces like that where I can give value to others and in return get some value, right? And so, but today my schedule was so full, right? I didn't have kind of white space or, where a blank canvas where I can just think about how can I recreate that, right? And so for me, right, and again I said I have an exception. My Mondays once a month is white packed, but I'm looking forward to tomorrow because I'm going to have, I purposely have clear space in my schedule where I'm going to think about that. So I would say, kind of, which one called out to you? Was it one where you start your day in someone else's inbox, or was it two, you really start consuming before you think? Or three, is it like you say yes all the time? Or four, do you just never stop? And I think a lot of us is going to be a combination. But so drop one, two, three, four, or combination in the chat. I love to know what people are struggling with. And if you have it together, please tell us you have it together so that I can shout you out. But which of these are you struggling with? I'm curious. Four. Okay. So I quickly I've gotten a four. So you never stop. You feel like you keep going, and maybe you don't have any white noise. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that. Anyone else? I would say I'm doing better. I used to really struggle with probably two and four. Is kind of the things that my combination would have probably been that. So it's consuming even before I start, and really not having space to really think and build and grow. And so I think those are the ones that I've kind of struggled with. So as you're thinking about it, right, I kind of suspect people might be all over the place. So there might be people who struggle with their emails. I think someone said earlier, like the first thing they do is check emails. So I think, you kind of struggle with that. I think some people struggle with consuming a lot of content. Some people just say yes to everything. And I bet some people just don't have space in their schedule. So, so yeah, so thank you so much for kind of sharing and going along with me. So every Monday, right, when we meet, I always say, what is something practical that you can take, right? And so this is how I think that you can fix it. And I don't think any of this is complicated at all. It just requires that you value your decision making energy, the way you value life, the way you value money, the way you value all those things that are really important, because honestly, I think it's worth more. And so the first thing I want to tell you is, this has been so helpful for me, is to guard the first hour of your day. So whatever you do for the first 60 minutes of your day, make sure that it belongs to you, right? I know this can be hard to implement, but this is so good. So don't give it to the news, don't give it to someone else's crisis. Don't, just give it to yourself, right? And that could look different. That could look like, I wake up in the morning and I pray, right? That could be it. I wake up in the morning and I journal, right? It could be like, I just wake up and I sit in silence with a cup of coffee and I think about what actually matters today, right? You think about your day, you think about what you're going to do. I don't care what it looks like, but just be selfish with those first 60 minutes of your day. I care that it's yours. I don't care what you do. Pray, journal, go for a run, sit outside with a cup of coffee, which is probably one of my favorite things to do. Think about the day, plan, right? And days where I have, not like today again, but like days where I plan and I build well, right? I pick three things that I want to accomplish that day. And I say, and those are the three things that I really push to try to accomplish. And I think that's very important, right? And I think when you give yourself, when you own those 60, the first 60 minutes, the first hour, right, you own your whole day. And the person who gives away like that first hour, they spend the rest of the day really just trying to get it back. And I would say, so that's the first thing I would say, is create that 1 hour of your day. Take it, own it, steal it, take it back, right? And the second thing I would say is create like a not today default, right? In some things, like if you work, some things you have to take care of, but there's some things you can say not today, right? So instead of always saying yes to everything and hoping that like you have space and you have energy to do it, right? And sometimes like you want to say, like, I would say flip the script, right? Just say no, no, or not today, right? And only the things that genuinely align with your priorities, right? The things you have to do. If you work, there's some things that you have to get done, prioritize that. But I don't think, it's not about being difficult, right, when you say no or not today, but it's about being very, very intentional. Your energy is not unlimited, right? We don't have like energy to last us days and years, right? So stop spending it like you have unlimited time and energy. So sometimes you should just say not yet, right? You just be like, okay, or not today, I'll work on that. So I think that's that. And then another thing I think I did not do well with that today is to build margins between like your commitments. 15 minutes between meetings, just to just to recharge, like a lunch break that's actually a lunch break, right? You just stop, you slow down, right? And even like I haven't implemented this, but I've been thinking about doing this, right? At one evening a week that is nothing on your calendar, and you can just use that to think. You can use that to recalibrate. You can use it to, sometimes you get the best ideas when you're just sitting, right? And so I would say that your brain needs room to process, to think, to make decisions, but make it from a place of clarity, not exhaustion and not chaos, right? I think I did a Monday Momentum or something. Busy is not a badge of honor. Like, just get over that. Like, I'm busy. Like, you don't get cool points for being busy, right? Busy is just like, I think most of the time is just poor boundaries, that you now wear this productive outfit and you're like, I'm busy all the time and it's supposed to be good. So I would say kind of, the biggest thing I would say is just own back the first hour. Figure out what you want your day to look like. And I think that'll be very important. So your move, as we wrap up, your move is very simple this week, right? Just the first 3 days, it's Monday, you can do this. Audit the next 3 days, right? Don't change them yet. Just see what they look like, right? Watch how you wake up. Notice what you do the first hour. Notice how many times you say yes without thinking. Notice how much content you consume. I'm going to fix this one. Before you even start creating anything, notice how much space you have in your schedule, right? Just look at that, right? Just observe, take notes, and then because I always tell my team, like, you can't, if you don't measure it, you can't make any changes from it, right? And so you can't change what you don't see. So once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And I think you'll then kind of make decisions based off of that. And then I would say day 4. So take 3 days, review, audit, and then day 4, change one thing, whether it's to guard the first hour. I think that's the best one to do. Maybe default to saying not today, right? And build margin, like build, like maybe put 2 hours, just do deep work for 2 hours, or you create space where you can go think, create, iterate, whatever you want to do, right? Do that. And then pick that one thing that will give you the most energy back. And I would say protect it like your future depends on it, because it does, right? The habits that we create today, the person we are today, our 5-year person is going to be thankful for that woman today or for that man, right? So why don't you do what you know you're supposed to do? Your best decisions are in there. They're just buried under some really gnarly bad habits that don't deserve your energy. So I'd say go dig them out, go figure that out. But I would say, like, the biggest thing is to really prioritize what's important. And I think for me, it starts with that first hour of the day. But for you, it might be really white space. It might be decreased content. It might be not taking in too much news. It might be not checking your email. It might be saying no or not today, right? But go figure that out. Figure out what is the one thing that you can do that will bring you back the most energy in the day. But that's all I got. If you have any comments, unmute yourself or drop it in the chat. But and also, right, if you want to continue to come alongside with us on this journey and participate and grow, we put a link in the chat to join the Circle community, and it's just really to grow and to build a more expansive life. So thank you so much for coming. And as I said, I find it difficult to say no, especially if something that's within my power to do, right? So maybe for you, right, you should say no, not today, not yet, right? You should maybe build that and see. And I think you will make space for the things that matter even more. And that you'll be able to make decisions better from that place. So maybe that's your challenge for this week, is to say no, or to say not today. But again, wonderful, perfect. Thank you everyone for coming, and thank you for the engagement. I will see you next Monday. We'll have another wonderful topic to kind of delve deeper into. But have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye, everyone.